Morning, everybody. I'm Michelle Stein from Umfolozi College. First of all, I want to tell you that we've been doing this for 3 years, I think. So when we started off, I just want to tell you, we only started with placing of 17 office administration students, and we placed them, and later on I'm going to explain to you that we've got a selection process, which is very helpful to us. And we started off, and there was nothing like SSACI. Okay, so we placed them, but when they came back, like the previous speaker told you, is that these kids grow, and they were so excited, and it makes a big difference. And then we were fortunate enough that SSACI and DHET came on board, and now it's this whole big project that we can just benefit from. And I do know that there is some colleges that experience major challenges, but I promise you, once you can just have one successful project, you will see the value of that, and because especially it benefits the students. And yes, it is a lot of work for us, but in the end, we both benefit. The college benefit and the student benefit. First of all, please people, you must remind your students, WBE is a privilege. It is not a right. Because also what happens, you guys are going to do it for the first time, which is wonderful. And these kids are going to be excited. By the second year, it's like, okay, now maybe only you placed one subject. Maybe you're only placing like marketing or business. Now FEA is going to ask, but when is it our turn? And hospitality wants to know, when is it our turn? Later on, they come with the attitude, you have to place us. Okay, it's still an opportunity that we are creating for you. We are assisting you, but it's not your right. It is still a privilege. What we did at Umfolozi College is there's 4 core lecturers, and we required or asked one of these lecturers to act as a champion. So in other words, if you are the champion, it means all 4 lecturers are involved, but you are the one that's going to drive this. What did we give to them in return is we are allowing them to have 2 or 3 extra admin periods. So it's 2 or 3 less contact time, but in that time, you are going to assist the work placement office, which is myself. I'm a work placement officer, and my colleague Zama Mngoma, we are work placement officers. So that champion is the champion that's going to make sure that the other lecturers are briefed, that the students are being briefed in time, that there's feedback, that these forms are submitted and then returned. A thing that we saw yesterday is one campus decided to color code their book. So if you are the lecturer for, say, for food and preparation, your section will have a blue cover and the next section will have another color. Just make it easier for the kids to know which tasks to do and for you to mark. If you look in your task books, there is Form 1, Form 2, Form 3, and 4. That is the personal information. Complete that ahead of time. Get the identity books, make copies, insert it already. Then they will be guided by the subject lecturer to explain everything. Make sure they understand the task, and make sure they understand the questions. Okay, then they will obviously be placed in the workplace. Some of the challenges we had is there was copying of answers directly from the textbook. Please encourage them to put it in their own language, so that you can, because if you copy something, it doesn't mean that you understand what you are saying. So please just encourage them to put it in their own language. Maybe you will deduct 1 mark if it's not. We were also very fortunate with our placements that we didn't have any absenteeism. But I think the reason for that is because we are fortunate enough, we are paying our students a stipend of 60 Rand a day. So these students are very eager for this money. So they do not abscond from this work-based experience. And also I think the students know now that it's so important. This is part of your ICASS mark. So if you do not complete this, you don't have practical 2, and it's very important. But we did have some students that were ill, but we accommodated them afterwards. And like the previous speaker said, I think it's an extremely good idea to say maybe now you will have to catch up over a weekend and still organize that with a host employer, because some of them, you can have a simulation of the work environment, but within hospitality, it's maybe not that easy. So that is one of the ideas that we can consider. Then, when we come to the assessment and the moderations of the task books, the in the office administration students that we placed last year, they were fortunate because they have 4 core subjects plus a simulation room. So they've got somebody for practicals. This person of the practical, she was the one that was marking section A, because section A is your generic one. But with other courses like hospitality, there's only those 4 core lecturers. So the other option is to say, we've got 40 books, we are going to divide it 10 books per lecturer, and that each lecturer will mark section A. Then after that, then you will mark according to your subject. You must also decide on the method of marking. So there was a timetable so that each lecturer knew exactly which one is starting. They had 2 or 3 days, and you knew exactly when you had to hand over to the next person. And as they also completed, it was moderated according to their moderation schedule. Then the final submission of marks. Last year, we were a bit late with our final submission of marks, and that was communicated to the Department of Education, and they've also accommodated us this year. It is very important. When you come back, these kids are so excited. So in class, you have this informal feedback session, and they can't stop talking about what they've experienced, what they've seen, and how strict it is, and whatever, which is a lovely thing. So if you can make some notes, because first of all, they're coming back, you are assisting them to see, have you missed some of the task? Have you completed it? Because at our colleges, if you haven't done a section, you're just going to get 0. So it was amazing to hear that you're still assisting them, but we don't have the time, or we don't do that. But there was tasks last year. There were tasks that they had to complete at the college after the placement period. So we had to allow for that. If that's the case, you allow that, especially in office administration. There's a section of office data processing. They had to, the task, they had to do a PowerPoint presentation. And I was actually amazed because I received some of these that I can use as a marketing tool. And it's so nice. But they could only do that once they are back at the college, they had to. So you had to allow for that, and only after that, then the marking took place. After that, we have to have debriefing sessions with our students. It is to say, what were the shortcomings? Maybe the expectations were also different. So we need to have, after that, debriefing sessions with the lecturers. What was your experience? What is the things, what was the challenges? How can we improve it for the following year? And it is good to note all the suggestions so that you can work on it on the next year. Challenges that some of our lecturers experienced at the time for marking. As I said last year, it was a big challenge. At last year at a stage, the workbook, the task book wasn't that user-friendly, but it was a good thing because we could come back to SSACI and say, not so user-friendly. And they changed the whole book, and now it's extremely user-friendly, and that's very nice. So, and then some companies, like you said, they are far. If you send your students out, and I would rather also recommend, if you send the students to go and search for host employers, let them bring back that slip and contact that, because students are very, very intelligent. They can come up with great schemes. They can create their own host employers, or my mother or my father's going to complete my task book. So we have to validate that it's a genuine host employer. So I would recommend that. Because yes, some of them stay far, but they might have a connection for a decent host employer, and I would like to place them there. But now, maybe you as a lecturer, you can't go all the way there. Phone. Just pick up the phone, ask, listen, I want to follow up. I cannot come there for a site visit. How is my student doing? Are you satisfied? Any problems? And at least then they can inform the student, hey, you know, the college is actually phoning to ask how you are doing. Last year, we paid our students stipend, like I told you, but we did cash payments. People, you can ask my colleague there, it was hell. So we're not going that route anymore. What we are doing now is we're using the e-walleting system. Okay, but to make sure that the payment is done ahead of time, because these kids need this money to travel during that time. It needs a lot of organization, but it can be done. And then remember, there must be proof. So if I'm paying you, I must get a register back. That's proof that you've been there, and it has to be signed off. So all of that is quite important. Suggestions to streamline everything. One of our lecturers also said, if the books could be kept in one secure place, so that if I have a free period, maybe you are starting but you're not finished yet, you've started, and I can go into your class when I have a free period, even if you're lecturing, go to the storeroom, take a few books, carry on marking my section, put it back if the period is over, and put it back in the storeroom. So that was just an idea. I don't know if it's feasible, I don't know how well it will work, but that was one idea. Then also, we are trying to have early contact with the host employers, because remember, you contact the host employer, with us, I interview them, then I go back. Then they have to say yes or no. Then it's that service level agreement that you have to do. And then also some of them the lecturers ask if it's possible to have free lessons in the afternoons maybe to visit host employers. As we are only 2 work placement officers, and we are dealing with 5 campuses, and we are looking at something like 600 to 700 placement of students. It is difficult for us to reach all the host employers and all the campuses, but we try. Yes, and then also during the briefing with your students, it's like you said, it is very important to brief them, to tell them things like, do not get involved with the staff in relationships. Ethic things that I will discuss with you later. We also have a bulk SMS system where we load all the students that's in internship, or maybe we haven't done it yet, but we can for WBE, if we need to send SMSs to remind them to return their registers or something, and that helps a lot to smooth out communication. People, that's all I can tell and share with you today for this section.